Hey polish fans, it's Caroline again and welcome to another video here at Wild Wind Lacquer. In today's video, we are doing more comparisons from that huge haul of estate polish that I got, over 2,000 bottles. This time we are starting to do the comparisons of the second biggest grouping by brand, and this is going to be Cult Nails. Right off the bat, I did end up keeping far less Cult Nails than I did our first group that I did comparisons of, which was CBL or Colors by Leroux. So after this group, which is our purples and pinks, I only have about 40 more polishes that I kept from Cult Nails. So from Cult Nails, I found a little over 100 bottles. So 106 was our total bottle count for how many Cult Nails I found. And I found 308 from Colors by Leroux. So definitely a lot less. So for Cult Nails, this is going to be less about did I keep any duplicates and more do I like the polishes once they've been swatched. And then from there, I will do the comparisons to the rest of my collection, the rest of my keeps, and all of that jazz. But first off, we have one that doesn't really have anything to compare it to. This is Cult Nails Lamstein. This is kind of a mix between like a very dark purple and like an oxblood. Here it is on the nail. This one is in 2 coats. So on camera, it's coming off very dark, and it is a very dark polish. I think this is going to be one that I compare to a lot of different dark shades, purples, burgundies, wine, and just see where it lands. I think this one is more warm toned than Lincoln Park After Dark by OPI. If I am remembering that one correctly, actually it might be on. Yeah, that is on my winter rack. So that is Lincoln Park After Dark by OPI. This one is Cult Nails Lamstein. And I do think, yeah, this one is more of a cool toned, darker, straight up purple, but let's just do a quick little comparison since I have it here. Oh yeah, this is more of an eggplanty purple. Far less berry in this. In fact, no berry in this. This is all dark, dark purple, which I don't even know if that's going to come through on camera very well. But if you're familiar with this shade by OPI, Lamstein is definitely in the same group as far as its depth of color, its richness, its almost black leaning quality, but it has that berry lean to it. I don't know if maybe in that lighting you can sort of see the berry lean, but this one is a beautiful shade. It is a nice 2-coater as well. And this is with a glossy top coat, but per usual, these swatch sticks, or the combination of my top coat with these swatch sticks, I still don't really know which is to blame, or maybe both, doesn't exactly leave these ultra glossy. But there it is on the nail. So question is, do I like this? Do I think it's different enough from other polishes that I have? Do I like it enough? And I do think I want to give this one a shot. I know I didn't really discover this brand until well after they had closed, so I don't own that many from this brand, and I want to at least see how this does compare to a few other shades in my collection. Plus these deeper shades, these almost blackened shades, the ones that I have been destashing actually, over the last 3 months or so have really been growing on me. So I do want to make sure that if I don't already have a color like this in my collection, that I go ahead and keep this one because it is a nice 2-coater. So Lamstein is going to be a keeper. All right, the next 3 we are going to be comparing, and we have Quench, Bitten, and Iconic. So as I often say with these comparisons, these are not going to be dupes by any means. We do have 3 completely different formulations here. Quench is more of a squishy cream, so kind of a crowley. Bitten has a shimmer particle in there, a larger particle, as you can see. There's also something in there that might shift, maybe. Then Iconic is more of a creamy crowley, and it does have a bunch of components. It's got those little red flakies plus the golden shimmer. So here they are on the nail. From left to right, we have Quench in 3 coats. In the middle, we have Bitten in 3. And on the far right, we have Iconic in 2. That was definitely the most opaque of these 3. And as you can see, they are in the same color family. I would say Iconic is the most purple leaning of the 3. I don't know if that is going to come through very well on camera, because it is a pretty subtle difference on camera, at least on my screen, but in person it definitely has a completely different look than the other 3. The middle one, Bitten, even in 3 coats, maintains a bit of a squish factor there, but look at the sparkle. It has that beautiful larger particled shimmer. And I do think there is a subtle little shift in there, like those particles might shift to maybe a gold or an orange. It's not as noticeable as some shifts in other polishes, but it is there and it adds a beautiful twinkle. Then Quench is, again, kind of a squishy cream, but that one I think is pretty decently opaque. It just has that squish factor that I think a lot of reds, especially older formulas, tend to have. So the question is, now that I've seen these guys swatched, do I like them enough to add them to my collection? Do I think they're unique enough to add to my collection? Quench, I would say, is probably the least unique of these three because it is just a squishy red. So I'm pondering if I should keep it and do some comparisons, or if it's just not worth it because it is a pretty basic color. And I'm just not sure. It is really beautiful. It's not quite as dark as I feel like it's coming off on my screen. You can definitely still tell that this is a deep red shade. Hopefully on your screen it's a little bit more color accurate. But yeah, beautiful color. It is just definitely a more simplistic formula, nothing fancy or sparkly or glittery or anything like that. I think I will go ahead and keep it. I was kind of actually leaning towards destashing it because it is just a basic cream and it is a 3-coater, at least on the swatch sticks. As I've mentioned in my other comparisons videos, at least the last few from CBL, one of the things that I have noticed oftentimes when I swatch on these clear sticks or the clear wheels that I use, these guys here, oftentimes when I put them on my nails, I only need 2 for mostly opaque. I think that's just something to do with how clear the nails are. Also, you get a lot of backlighting coming on to make them look a little bit sheerer as well. So I am curious if this would actually be a 3-coat formula on my nails, or if I would be able to get away with just 2. And I would like to see how this does compare both color-wise and formula-wise to a few of the other shades that I have in this color range, because this is the first range of reds that I really grew to love, and that was like, gosh, 15 plus years ago. Way more than that actually. Well, not way more, but closer to like 17, 18 years ago that I started to really love this shade, which is years before I started to like the other shades that you have seen on my Instagram over the last 2 years or so. So this color range is sort of a first love in this color family. I do want to give it a shot and see how it compares. So Quench is going to be a keeper. Then the other 2, Iconic and Bitten. So again, we do have 2 completely different formulas. Iconic has those sort of red flakies in there. Those might have a shift to them, but I don't really see them making any obvious remarkable shifts, but they do add a nice glow to this lovely color. And then of course Bitten is that squishy formula even in the 3 coats, and it has a beautiful sparkle. Look at that. Okay, do I need both? Do I like both enough? I mean, yes, I do. Goodness, this one is going to be harder. Like I thought I would be willing or able to at least get rid of a few by this point in my comparisons, but I do think I like both enough to at least move them on to phase 2 of my comparisons. So both Bitten and Iconic are going to be put into the keep pile, and I know at least Bitten has something I can compare it to, at least I think, from Colors by Laurel. I know I kept a few that had this like pretty simplistic either glitter or micro flaky that added a nice twinkle. So I want to see how that compares. As I keep telling myself, I can't keep them all, but for a lot of these, I do at least want to see how they compare. But yeah, both of those I think are going to be in the keep pile as well. At least moving on to phase 2 of the comparisons. The next 2 that we're going to compare are, I think, our 2 last warm toned purples. They are Wannabe and Radiance. Now again, these are not dupes by any means. We have completely different formulas. Wannabe has that golden shimmer and Radiance is just a cream. So here are those 2. From left to right is Wannabe in 2 coats. On the right is Radiance, also in 2. So again, not dupes, but do I like both once they are swatched? I definitely like Radiance. That is a lovely cream. Maybe not the most unique, but I do want to see how that compares. And then for Wannabe, that is another beautiful shade. Look at that. So I think what I like about this one is that gold shimmer is not a very harsh yellow gold. It's almost copper leaning, which I really like. So that is going to be a keeper, as is Radiance. Yeah, I think as is Radiance. We're not doing very well on the Destash front, but I think both of these are going to be keepers. Radiance, like I said, I do want to see compared to other shades in this color range. Again, with these more simple formulas, I do want to make sure that I have a variety in my collection, because when I'm looking for a very specific shade, I want that very specific shade. So if I don't already have a color like this, I do want to keep it. If I do already own something similar enough, though, this might get destashed in the long run, but for the time being, we're going to go ahead and keep both. Getting into the pinks, though, I do think I will be able to make some cuts. We're going to compare these three. We have Falling Hard, Kiss My Rosebush, and Untamed. So as usual, these are not going to be dupes, especially in Cult Nails, where I really didn't keep a lot in the pink family. I mean, this was it. 5 total in my pinks that I kept from Cult Nails, and these three are the most similar. Untamed is kind of a squishy, warm-leaning pink that has a very subtle micro glitter or shimmer in there. I don't know if you can see that twinkling away. Kiss My Rosebush is almost a cool toned bubblegum, almost orchid leaning purple. I mean, especially compared to the other two shades. And then Falling Hard is more of a straight up bubblegum pink with less of that cool tone in it. And I want to say also that Kiss My Rosebush is a little bit dusty by comparison. So here are those three side by side. From left to right, we have Falling Hard in 2 coats. In the middle is Kiss My Rosebush in 2 as well, and then Untamed on the far right in 3. And pardon the little mess up there. I think some of my nail swatches stuck together and it got a little bit of purple transferred to it, but there they are on the nail. And as you can see, they are various shades of pink. Kiss My Rosebush is definitely the dustiest of the 3. I wouldn't exactly say it's a super dusty shade though. If I were to compare this to other pinks in my collection, I think this could fall somewhere in between. I don't think it would be quite as dusty as some of the other shades that I own, but it is a nice 2-coat formula. Falling Hard is actually a very nice bright pink, like a bright bubblegum pink. Not a bright, but it is a brighter shade comparatively. Then Untamed, I will say, is a little bit disappointing on the nail because it is so squishy. And I think that the sparkles that are in there, let's look at it all by itself. Yeah, the sparkles that are in here are just super subtle, very hard to see, but that might look kind of cute on the nail. I'm just trying to decide if that's something that I care enough to try. So if you're new to my channel, pinks are still one of those colors that it's not my ultimate favorite. Purple still holds that spot, but I am growing more fond of many different shades of pink. But I also am still a little bit fussy about my shades as well. So oftentimes with pinks, I'm just less inclined to want to keep them all. And I think for this one, it's going to be our first destash because I'm just not in love with it. I mean, it's cute, but it's not calling to me. So we're going to go with it. Untamed is going to be our first one destashed. So of the other 2, Falling Hard and Kiss My Rosebush, do I need both? Do I want both? I was actually kind of leaning towards getting rid of maybe Kiss My Rosebush, but I like it. Yeah. And I mean, it is different enough that I think I could justify both of them. Falling Hard is definitely a brighter shade. It's a brighter tone of pink. So I think for the time being, both of these are going to be in the keep pile. This particular shade range of pink is definitely one that prior to this past year, 2023, I really wasn't that fond of. So I don't think I have that many in my collection. The closest ones might be coming from LA Colors. I did a swatch video of a big collection of pinks that I got at the Dollar Tree, and it had a lot in this shade range. So I want to see how these compare. Both of these were 2 coats, yeah, because some of the LA Colors formulas were not the best. So we're going to see how those compare. These are both going to go into the keep pile. All right, well, I got rid of one. Oh my goodness, I think this might be our worst destash video yet, but the next 2 are our last pinks before we head into the cooler toned purples. We are looking at Alluring and Center of Attention. Again, not dupes at all. We have 2 very different shades here, different formulas. Alluring has kind of this dusty, almost flesh toned pink. And then if you look closely, it's got a subtle shimmer. And then of course, center of attention is a glitter bomb, just flat out a glitter bomb. It has all the shades of pink and champagne. So here they are, Alluring on the left in 2 coats, center of attention on the right also in 2. So I will say that Alluring, once it's swatched, I don't see that shimmer at all. And especially on camera, it's coming off very close to my own skin tone. So this is kind of leaning neutral, which is not exactly my favorite. Center of attention is a really fun glitter bomb. I want to say I might have a couple of different polishes that are similar. In fact, I think this might have a little bit of like a gold to copper or orange, like micro shimmer or micro glitter, little shifter in there as well. Pardon the heater, it just popped on, so hopefully that's not being too loud in the background. Alluring just really didn't come out how I was hoping. Like I said, I just am not seeing that very subtle green glow that was in the bottle. So Alluring is also going to be put into the destash. I'm leaning towards getting rid of center of attention as well. I mean, it's fun, but as I mentioned, I do sort of have a couple of polishes in this glitter bomb family that are like rose gold, pink, and a little bit of gold. I want to say one came from Maybelline, another came from Julep, and I might have one from like China Glaze. I'm not actually too sure about that, but I'm trying not to keep everything just to do comparisons. But I'm kind of going back and forth on whether or not I should keep it for comparisons or just destash it. We'll keep it, I guess. It's gonna get a reprieve at least until I can do those comparisons. So it might not stand out once I, compare it to the rest in my collection. But so far, we're gonna go ahead and keep that one. That one was center of attention. So 2 down in the first row, not great. Moving down into our second row, we're moving into our purples. We're actually going to compare the next 3, and 2 of these are the same polish. So from left to right, we have Let's Get Dirty. In the middle is My Kind of Kool-Aid, which has faded. And then the third bottle is My Kind of Kool-Aid, which has not faded or maybe faded less. So these 2 are going to have at least a similar formula, just a different color. And then the one on the far left is more of like a taupey purple leaning color. And I don't see anything in that one. I think that one might be just a cream. So here they are, all in 2 coats. From left to right, we have Let's Get Dirty. In the middle is the faded version of My Kind of Kool-Aid. And on the far right is the less faded or not faded My Kind of Kool-Aid. So 3 different shades here. As you can see, Let's Get Dirty is, again, sort of this muted, almost flesh-toned, but taupey leaning color. And I think it actually does have something in it. I thought it was just a cream, but wow, that is hard to see. I think there is actually a very, very subtle shimmer in here. There we go. See that incredibly subtle dusting of shimmer? There's something in there. A very light wash of something. But is that exciting enough to keep? So let's do a quick little comparison of this one to Alluring. Alluring is that pink that I did destash because it was neutral leaning. So by comparison, it is much pinker. Oddly enough though, I do sort of prefer the taupey lean in a neutral as opposed to it just being a very soft neutral leaning pink. So just personal preference there. But I'm just not so jazzed on this one. I mean, it's fine and all. I just don't love it. And I do get this kind of color quite frequently, so I don't think I would be missing out necessarily if I destash this one. So Let's Get Dirty. We're going to go ahead and destash. Then we have the 2 versions or variations of My Kind of Kool-Aid. These dusty Shoot Up Grape Bubblegum shades of purple are one of my favorite shades of purple. There is something about it that I just adore. Now, obviously the faded one is far less purple. That is more of a gray with a pinch of purple in it. I do really like that one though, and actually they match my sweatshirt. I'm keeping the regular My Kind of Kool-Aid 100%. That one is beautiful. But do I destash the faded version or do I keep it to do some comparisons in my grays? Meh. I need to do some catch up on the destashes for this one, so I think I am going to go ahead and let go of the faded version of my kind of Kool-Aid. Reason being is I think on the nail it's far less purple leaning than I was hoping it would be. I was thinking in the bottle that it did still have that lean towards purple, and maybe compared to a gray, like a flat out gray, it might, but not enough for me to justify keeping both when I know I already have stuff in this shade range that I like a little bit better. So the faded version of my kind of Kool-Aid is going to be destashed. All right, so at least on this row, we're starting out with 2 in the destash, which brings our total so far to 4 going into the destash, which is good because I don't foresee that the rest of these purples are going to go very well as far as destashing goes. The next purple really doesn't have anything to compare it to. This one is Charming. This one is in 3 coats with a glossy top coat. And again, pardon the little nicks there because this one I think also got attacked. Actually, it's very possible that this is the one that merged with Untamed, but there it is on the nail. This is actually a beautiful glowy tone on tone, like subtle shimmer. And this is beautiful, you guys. This is lovely. This manages to be somehow dusty and bright at the same time. And I think that's because the base is dusty, but you have a brightness to the shimmer. So I don't think this is going to surprise anybody. This is a keeper. So Charming is going to be kept. The next 3, ooh, this is going to be tough. We have Unicorn Puke, Clairvoyant, and Seduction. So the first 2 are going to be nearly identical, if not actually identical. And then Seduction is a similar concept of a squishy purple, jam-packed full of shifting flakies. So if I'm remembering what Lisa told me, her channel is Cosmetic Sanctuary. She's been doing nail stuff for a long time, so she really has a know for a lot of these things. I believe what she was saying is that Unicorn Puke was the original of this formula, and then somewhere along the lines it got changed to Clairvoyant. So I did end up with both versions from that haul, and obviously I kept both because they're purple and they have flakies and they're both just stunning polishes. The slight outlier here is Seduction. That one, like I said, is very similar, but it does have different shifts in those flakies. As you can see, there's greens and other shades in Unicorn Puke and Clairvoyant where there are warmer shades, or I should say more warmer shades in Seduction. There's also a more prominent sort of blurply blue, kind of like ghost flaky, although I think there might be some in the other 2 as well. But let's see them on the nail. So here they are. All of these are 3 coats. From left to right we have Unicorn Puke, in the middle is Clairvoyant, and on the right is Seduction. And I think you can see there, these 2 are virtually identical. Then on the right, Seduction is a little bit different, a subtle difference in the shade of the base. And then of course the shifts that you're seeing in those flakies, you've got far more of a lean towards the warm side, and you have more rainbows in the other 2. So the question is, do I need all 3? Do I need to keep both versions of Clairvoyant and Unicorn Puke? So as I mentioned, when I was doing the initial haul, for polishes like this, I do have a tendency of wanting to lean very safe, as in keeping the ones that I'm even iffy about, because you can't get them anymore. It's not like I can just go to Cult Nails and buy them. Cult Nails doesn't make polish anymore. So if I were to keep only one of them and then end up using it up, not likely, but you know, if I did use up one of these bottles, I could not get another. Simply could not. I mean, if I did, it would be a search. I would probably have to look online and probably pay way more than I would want. And I just don't do that. With the collection the size that I have, I simply refuse to pay more than retail for polishes. It's not worth it to me, especially now that I'm budgeting. Like, I have a budget set in mind. I don't want to spend $20, $30, $40, $50 on a single bottle of nail polish. You know what I mean? It's just not in me. I like to find deals. So I don't think anyone's going to be surprised that I am going to be keeping both Unicorn Puke and Clairvoyant, at least for now. We'll see how that goes in the long run, but I just love this kind of a formula. I love the flakies. I love the color. This is the kind of polish too that you can make a beautiful topper with over a bunch of different shades of purple, blue, pink. This is just absolutely gorgeous. So both of those are staying. Then we have Seduction, and that one is the one that has the more warm toned flakies and the blurbly ghost flakies. Now there are shifts. Ooh, yeah. Those red flakies are almost like unicorn flakies because I do see shifts to green and gold when I put this in different lighting. I don't know if I can get those to come across on camera. There you go. You see that green and gold? It's a different angle for this one than the flakies here because these flakies are already green. Whereas on this one, it's the shifts that those flakies have that turn to green. So guess what? You're not going to be surprised. This is a keeper as well. I can't help myself. I love purple and I love flakies. So still not doing so good, but you know, sort of called that one. We're going to compare the next 3 purples, and we have Wacky Slacks, Winter's Light, and Flushed. Again, we are not dealing with dupes here. We're dealing with 3 different formulas. Wack Slacks on the left is a cream. The middle is kind of this micro glitter jelly formula. And then Flushed is more of a crelly that has a larger particled shimmer in it, a pink to orange. So here they are. Wack Slacks I did in only 1 coat. Now it does need to be recoated though, because again, the top coat really didn't do this any favors. You don't see that very glossy. It's showing a lot of the texture of the swatch stick underneath it, but that's just 1 coat. See how opaque that is? That is impressive. Winter's Light in the middle was 3 coats, and then the far right Flushed was in 2. They're also different in color. I think Wack Slacks is sort of this indigo shade where it does lean blue. Then Winter's Light in the middle has those beautiful sparkles in it, and Flushed has a beautiful warm shimmer in it. You guys, am I keeping all 3? Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, Wack Slacks. Again, I was really impressed by the formula on this. I am going to give it another top coat though. So I don't know if this was formulated to be a 1 coat or if my bottle has just thickened. I mean, they are older bottles, so that wouldn't be too surprising. Here it is, nice and glossy. Again, just in 1 coat. How impressive is that? So this particular shade, this blue leaning purple, indigo, I love this shade. I love purples, and I love it when it has a pinch of blue in it. There's just something that just appeals so much to my eyes with this. It makes my brain happy. So I don't think anybody is surprised. Wack Slacks is going to be a keeper. It also doesn't have a dupe, at least in this comparison. But again, I will be doing a second round of comparisons once I've done brand comparisons. I'm going to be doing a color comparison across all of the brands. Okay, then Winter's Light, which I'm actually rubbing off. Got to reapply that before I completely forget how many coats I used. These are Sharpies. They're supposed to not rub off. Why are they rubbing off? But I do have 3 coats and 2 coats. Again, we're dealing with 2 beautiful purples here. Oh my goodness. All right, well, I'm definitely keeping Winter's Light. This sparkle is gorgeous. Yeah, that is just purple sparkliness. And I love this one as well, but I keep telling myself I can't keep everything. And this is one of those colors that's sort of niggling at the back of my mind that I think I have something, at least one something close to this. Maybe. I just can't quite place it. Do I want to keep it to do comparisons of? Do I feel like that's necessary? I think we're keeping it at least to do those comparisons of. This is a combination that I love. I do feel like I've seen it before. I do feel like I probably own something similar, but until I can confirm that, I don't want this to go away, because if I don't, if for some reason it just looks familiar, but I don't actually have something like this, I want to keep it. So yikes, another purple in the keep pile. I don't think that's too much of a surprise. The last one doesn't have anything to compare it to. This is Enigmatic in 3 coats. This is a very interesting sort of shade of purple. It does have a shift in there, or at least a shimmer. It's also got a little bit of separation going on in the bottle. So it does have this smoky base to it. There it is on the wand. You can see the shimmer in there a little bit better that way. And there it is on the nail. The shimmer on this one is definitely less prominent in here, but it's kind of similar concept-wise to, which one was that? This one, Charming, where it's like tone on tone, but the shimmer is brighter than the base. So on this one, you have a very dark, inky burgundy or even brown leaning burgundy purple base. And then you have a brighter, slightly brighter shimmer. I don't know. For this one, I am hesitating. In the bottle, I am seeing like a subtle scattering of some larger particles, and I just don't really see that too much on the nail. It is a beautiful vampy shade though, you guys. Uh-oh. I was leaning towards destashing this one. Am I not now? So I am starting to pull my winter rack. In fact, by the time this is posted, I may have already filmed this. I have some darker shades on my winter rack because I am trying to wear more of this kind of shade this winter. I think in winters past, I've kept my palette more along the lines of this sort of a color, very light winter shades, but I've been loving my darker shades. So I do have some up here to compare this one to. And I think the closest one might be this Dance Legend, and it's not even close. Yeah, this one has the Dance Legend, which is 637. It has like a green shimmer, and I think based on the bottle it does dry matte. This one does not have a green shimmer at all. But like I said, I was leaning towards destashing this one, but on the nail, at least in person, I'm really liking this. On camera, this is leaning very blah. It's not like it's the most exciting color out there, but it is very pretty in person. So I want to at least give this one a shot. So this was dismal as far as destashes go. Of the, what was it, 22? Yeah, out of the 22 polishes, we only have 4 that are going into the destash. And I really thought that we would end up with a little bit more, but that's how it goes sometimes, especially with an entire row of 11 purples. It's not too surprising. I think a lot of you saw it coming. I saw it coming. It is what it is. We still have 40 other colors though, so stay tuned for those. Let me know down below which ones of these were your favorites. I would say, did I get rid of any that you thought I should keep, but I only got rid of 4. So, as always, hopefully you had a good time. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and looking at more beautiful polish, especially in a brand like this that doesn't make polish anymore, as did Colors by Loro. They don't make polish anymore. There were a lot of brands that we ran into through that haul that don't make polish anymore. That was one of the things that I felt so lucky about, is to be able to find polish that I can't access otherwise. So the whole haul has been a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Hopefully you guys have been having a good time tagging along with me. I really appreciate each and every one of you tuning in and hanging out with me for a little bit. Hopefully you have a good rest of your day, and I will see you in that next one.